So many of you got the same answer, so hopefully you did it something like this, right? If I did the digit by digit method here, I would say 8 times what gets me close to 19 without going over?
2.
8 times 2 gives me 16. I'd have 3 more. Then I've got 32 divided by 8, which is a straight 4, because 4 times 8 is 32, and I'm all done. So my answer would be 24 packages, right? Because if she buys 24 packages, and each package has 8 buns, she'll get a total of 192. This never happens in real life. I promise you, you'll always have extra buns. Always. Okay, so it says how many packages of hot dog buns does Susan need to buy? She needs to buy, what did you write? 24 packages.
Or if people use 2 buns and make it a sandwich, then.
Oh my gosh. Then would they use 2 hot dogs also? Or cut their hot dog in half? Dun, dun, dun.
They could just get more hot dogs. Yeah, they could.
More hot dogs, more buns, more hot dogs, more buns.
Yum, 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 yum.
All right, you silly gooses.
I love sandwiches.
Okay, here's your job. With your partner, continue to work, and let's see if you can solve these problems, Stella, on page 154. Okay, and for those of you at home, I'll post the answer key so you can check your work when you're done. Mathematician, so I see a lot of people multiplying 16 times 12 first, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we multiply 16 times 12, it's going to tell us how many what? How many hot dogs?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
192.
So what did y'all get for the number of hot dogs?
182.
182,
92.
192. Oh, look. 6, 7, 8, 9. Do you see it? Julian, can you fix it up? You just forgot to add that one. Okay, so we have 192 hot dogs. Do you agree, Cuddy?
Yeah.
Okay. So mathematicians, it tells us now hot dog buns are sold in packages of 8. How many packages of hot dog buns does Susan need to buy? So she has 1 bun for every hot dog. So she needs 192 buns. They're sold in packages of 8. How are we going to figure out how many packages she needs to buy? Yeah, so I like to think about it like this. I've got 192, that's what I need, right? And I've got packages of 8. So 8 times what equals 192, or 192 divided by 8. You were just going to say that?
200.
You were right. Okay, so I'm just going to cover this up so I have some room to solve it. 192 divided by 8. Okay, I'm going to give you a moment to solve that problem. 192 divided by 8. We're going to start here on page 153. Okay, so sometimes, and we've already had a little bit of this, right, Harper? But sometimes you need to work through more than one step to solve a problem. And sometimes you need to have more than one equation to go through those steps. So this says the steps can be shown in one or more equations. So let's look at this problem that says, actually, Julian, would you read this problem, number 1?
Okay. At Parks Elementary School, there are 6 fourth-grade classes with 17 students in each class. On Friday, 23 fourth graders brought lunch from home, and the rest of the students brought lunch in the cafeteria. How many fourth graders brought lunch in the cafeteria on Friday?
Okay, so what information do we know? Stella? We know the number of students. Okay, so on Friday, right?
Yeah.
On Friday, we had, let me change that. I feel like I'm gonna do brought lunch from home, which we call cold lunch, right? and then bought lunch in the cafeteria, which we call hot lunch. Do you guys agree with that? Okay. So we know that some brought lunch from home, and then the rest bought lunch from the cafeteria. Okay, yes, Ava?
What we should do is we should multiply 17 times 6 and then subtract the total from 23 and then you have the answer.
Oh, so she says 17 times 6. What does 17 times 6 tell us, Ava?
102.
Well, what? 102 what?
4th grade.
Okay, so this problem is about 4th graders, right? And that number tells us how many 4th graders there are in all.
And then we would subtract 23 from 102 and we'd get 79.
Because 23 kids brought their lunch, right? So if we have the total of 4th graders and we subtract how many got cold lunch, we can figure out how many got hot lunch. Do you guys agree with that? Okay, so, but in order to figure out how many 4th graders there are in all, we're gonna say 17 students in each class. Oh my gosh, could you imagine? That's so small. Times 6 classes. So I want you to do your very favorite multiplication method to solve 17 times 6. And let's see if you got what Ava and Lucas got. Oopsies. Oh yeah, I see yours. Your very favorite multiplication method. Did you get an answer, Stella? Cotty, did you get an answer? Did anybody do the shortcut method?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 7 times 6 is
42.
42. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 more makes 10. So did you get 102 like Ava did? Did you get 102? Yes, Harper. Okay. So now we have 102 4th graders all together. And so what's our next step, Naya, in order to solve for if 102 4th graders ate lunch, 23 brought their own lunch, how are we going to figure out how many had hot lunch?
Subtract.
Subtract. So this is like our second equation, right? 102 take away 23. Is that what you did, Lucas?
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant mathematician. Yes, sir.
It's basically pretty easy for the next problem.
Great.
Just basically like everything else.
So we're going to have to do some tricky regrouping here, huh? What'd you get, Mubina?
79.
Me too. Did you get 79, Naya? Cotty, did you get 79?
So I guess that.
Yes.
So
All
that-
right.
So, now
So
we
the
know
answer to our question, how many 4th graders bought lunch in the cafeteria on Friday, would be 79. Okay, so now we're gonna mix it up because as we know, there's always more than one way to solve a problem. Okay, so it says solve the problem again by finishing Tommy's and Lucy's methods, then discuss how the two methods are alike and how they're different. So this was the method we did. We're gonna check these two methods out. So Tommy's method. First, he wrote an equation for each step. So he said, find the total number of students who are in 4th grade. 6 times 17. Oh, we know the answer to that. What would we put on the in the line?
102.
102. So go ahead and fill that in, since we already figured that out, right, Movina? Then it says subtract the number of students who brought lunch from home. 102 take away 23. 79. We know the answer to that. So Tommy's did his really similar to ours, right? He's got his two equations.
Yeah, I don't know.
We did ours more in calculation. We didn't actually write out the equations. Okay, but that's okay. Yes, Ava?
For Lucy's method, she didn't put quotation marks on 6 times 7.
She didn't. So let's talk about that. Let's look at Lucy's method. So Lucy, instead of writing two separate equations, Lucy wrote one big equation for the whole problem. So it's kind of like a situation equation where she says, so N is the number of students who bought lunch, which we don't know. So she says, okay, first I'm going to do, I have 6 fourth grade classes with 17 students, 6 times 17. And then I'm going to take away the 23 fourth graders who brought their own lunch, and that's going to tell Lucy the number of students who bought hot lunch. So she wrote one big equation. So Ava said, we multiplied first. Why didn't she put parentheses there? So you can put parentheses there, but if you remember PEMDAS, parentheses, PEMDAS. So parentheses, exponents, which we don't have to do, and then there's multiply and divide. So if we're following PEMDAS, we're automatically going to do the multiply first. So you can put parentheses there, it's not wrong. But if you don't have parentheses there, you're still going to start with multiply because it comes first in PEMDAS. That makes sense? So that tells you that you would do 6 times 17 first, which we know is 102, and then you would subtract 23 to get your answer. Okay? So these are 2 different approaches, 2 separate equations or 1 long equation. So our answer is still the same, 79. Okay? Who prefers the 2 separate equations? Who prefers 1 long equation? Okay, so 2 of you raised your hand, so I'm going to ask you individually. If you were doing this by yourself, Harper, would you choose 2 equations or 1 long equation?
2.
Yeah? What about you, Mubina? 2. Do you do 2 equations? Naya, what about you?
2.
2. What about you, Lucas?
Probably 1.
You would do 1 long equation. Okay.
2.
Julian, 2 little ones. Cotty,
1.
1 long one. What about you, Ava? 2 little ones. Okay. Yeah, both ways right. Okay, you get to the right answer both ways. Okay, I'm going to give you some time to try number 3. This says use an equation to solve. So now you can practice the method that you just decided you want to try. 2 little equations or 1 long equation. So the problem says Susan buys 16 packages of hot dogs for a barbecue. Each package contains 12 hot dogs. Hot dog buns are sold in packages of 8. How many packages of hot dog buns does Susan need to buy so she has 1 bun for each hot dog? I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. In fact, you could even use your elbow partner. Everybody has an elbow partner. Harper and Mubina, Stella and Naya, Cody and Ava, Lucas and Julian.
And this is actually kind of weird. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm sorry.